Hey there, hi there, hey there. Welcome back once again. Another exciting episode of Disney Compendium. This is an Annex episode.
Annex.
Annex 3, I think it is. I'm calling it
Yes.
that. That's what I've written, but I can't be 100% certain. I don't think
Uh,
we've done anything after Mary Poppins.
nope. Mickey's Christmas
Yeah.
Carol, Poppins, and listen.
This one, the State of the Union. That's
The
the best
State of
name
the
I can come
Union.
up with because this is a completely unfocused episode. I am your host, as usual, JJ, and over there, as always, except for one episode, is my
Mm.
good friend, Nick. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great because I don't have to finish Pocahontas.
Yes, right now.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
to finish Pocahontas. It's just
Stay
not
tuned
right
for that
now.
episode, guys, because
Yeah.
we're totally disillusioned during it.
Yeah. So I've just been incredibly busy, and I had no time to watch Pocahontas again and
Yeah.
put together a show and notes and everything. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I want to get some content out there, but I don't have time to do something. So this one's just sort of a fun one. It's not
Yeah.
about anything in particular. We've got a couple of plans that we're going to do on this one, but nothing set in stone. We're just going to
Nope.
sort of free form
Yeah.
talk about some stuff.
Where we comes from? Yeah, it just happened to come across it's not really Pocahontas. It's mostly like I started a new job and JJ is going to a ton of wrestling right now.
Just yeah, June is the month of wrestling for me, and there's
Wrestling.
comic shows, and I had to work today. And just like I can't get it together long enough to watch Pocahontas and put together a show about Pocahontas because there's not enough time in the day to really prepare for Pocahontas and the discourse surrounding it.
Or to pretend to give a damn about Pocahontas.
There's a couple of things to like about Pocahontas, and we'll get there next week.
Yeah.
But that's next week. We're not going to
Yeah.
spoil the Pocahontas talk now.
No. But we were talking about off air, and I guess we can talk about it now because it kind of works. Is we're talking about like how we're looking forward to Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, yeah, boy,
Yeah.
because we're talking about The Simpsons, and The Simpsons are going to be featured prominently on Disney Plus. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much popping up with Disney Plus that you have The Mandalorian, which
Right.
I'm excited about.
I think
I mean, I can't remember if it's a launch, but it's like video games. It's launch window.
yeah.
uh,
For sure, it for sure launches with Captain Marvel. I know that.
as like the movie's going to be on there because
Yeah.
because what was it? Infinity War was the last? Was it Ant-Man and the Wasp? No, Ant-Man and the Wasp was the last one to be on Netflix or something. That was the deal.
Yeah.
Like it was the
Yeah.
last one that was going to appear on there. So yeah,
Yeah.
all the Marvel movies are going to shift over to Disney Plus.
The Star Wars films, I think they said launch window as well.
Yeah, and they're going to have all of them, like all of them, I guess. I mean, they
Yeah.
own Fox out right now, so that means
Might as well.
they own Episode 4 out right now, and so
It's crazy to think about like the amount of content on there
yeah.
that you and I genuinely love.
Oh yeah, and I don't I'm still not entirely sure because they keep talking about how the vault that will be on there and stuff, and I don't know if will I be able to just boot up and watch Donald Duck shorts,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or or am I just going to have to like wait for them to just get around? Is it gonna be like the WWE network where there's always gonna be this weird gap of like, okay, this is cool, but you don't have WCW Saturday Night?
Yeah. Check it out. So you're gonna yeah. You're gonna get Spin and Marty
yeah,
like at launch, but
yeah,
if you want old ECW, aka Zorro, you're
yeah.
gonna have to like wait till 2 years.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King and
Yeah.
Spin and Marty,
Yeah.
but but you're not going to get any Mickey Mouse Club or uh,
It's
yeah,
like
so.
it's gonna launch as Mr. Boogity.
All of them, on both of them. I think there's two of them.
I think you're right, Steve. It's gonna launch as Boogity.
It's just, I'm looking now at uh, upcoming stuff, and boy, like announced things is crazy. List of original films distributed by Disney Plus. Lady and the Tramp is going to be November 12th. It has a release date. That must, again, I think that must be the launch day
Yeah,
of Disney Plus at this point.
that sounds right.
Yeah. A new Phineas and Ferb.
Okay, I love that show. I like Phineas and
Uh,
Ferb.
upcoming original films. Three Men and a Baby remake.
Starring
It does it does not say. It's just a three. It's just Three Men and a Baby remake.
you're like, does it matter who's in
Yeah,
it, Nick? It doesn't make
yeah.
a difference.
Who's your dream cast for Three Men and a
For
Baby?
3 Men and a Baby, man,
Who's the three men you want to see?
I don't know. Like, I don't know, but I feel like there has to be like a gag about a ghost in that movie.
Yeah, Brother
How
Bear.
many?
Brother Bear 3 is coming.
Okay, sure.
Is that how we get? Is that how we get Rick Moranis back? We get and we get. He starts dipping his toes back into Hollywood by doing
That
Brother Bear 3. And
that
next,
drags him out of retirement.
yeah, and then next thing you know, Ghostbusters again.
Yep. Brother Bear 3 is the Russian mob killing his dog and stealing his car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
No, okay. No, I would watch just remake all three John Wick movies, but replace Keanu with
With Rick
Rick
Moranis.
Moranis, and it would work, and you know it would work.
Yeah, I would.
Um, so I mean, boy, we're gonna get to Brother Bear in this podcast real soon,
We we sure are.
very
We're
soon.
not going. I don't think we'll still be doing the animated films by the time Disney Plus launches. We
No, I
should be
think
done or close to it.
if we're not done, especially if we do any more of these episodes, I think
Yeah.
I think we're done in November. So I
Yeah,
think like
because it's Frozen 2.
Frozen 2 is
Yeah.
going to, theoretically the season finale will be Frozen 2.
Yeah. Which is fine.
So
And hopefully it's
yeah. Um yeah, so a Chicken Little 2. Why?
yeah.
Why would you bring back Chicken Little? Like we're very close to getting into this era of Disney animation where things like Chicken Little and Home on the Range exist,
In
and
Meet the
nobody
Robinsons.
and nobody has watched Chicken Little or Home on the Range in like 15 years at this point.
Yeah. So
And
all
a
right, Disney.
Don Quixote movie they're making, which I think they've been trying to do for a while. Like Walt was
Yeah.
alive, and they were trying to put together a Don Quixote story. But that's a bad like. Don Quixote isn't very Disney, but I guess
It's depressing.
yeah.
It's a
Dumbo 2 and 3, like animated, not like live action, but just
okay.
animated Dumbo 2 and 3. Which okay,
Is this so like the original COD has this gonna be like fucking oh sorry. I swore.
yeah. These are just things
Right
that have
along.
been. Yeah, these have been announced, so there's no guarantee that any of these are ever going to actually see the light of day. These are just the
Yeah.
ones that they're saying are in various forms of like production, which anyone that's listened to this podcast knows at any given time, Disney has always had several things in production, and so many of them have never seen the light of day.
Right.
Because you're looking at this, you know, Dumbo 2 and 3, a Father of the Bride remake.
I mean, which is already a remake.
Yeah. Home on the Range 2. Like I just say, we're just talking about Home on the Range 2.
Yeah.
The Jungle Book 3. Like, what is Jungle Book 3? What is that movie? Is this
What
the
does that look
potential movie?
like?
Yeah. Is it the one where Mowgli has wiped out humanity and only animals walk the
I'm all for it. But like
Let
it's
us
like
let's start a petition, change.org, have Nick and
yeah,
JP write Jungle Book 3.
right. Jungle Book 3, and also like film the last
Also,
season of Game of Thrones. Apparently, I don't
yeah. Also let you make a black hole remake.
release the JJ cut. Uh, and
Meet the Robinsons 2 First Date. This has a title. So that one's
God,
probably most certainly going to come.
oh
Lilo and
man,
Stitch 3D, the Return, the Return of Leroy.
the Laterne and Shirley.
Yeah.
Um, here's the thing: like, I'm good for them for wanting to do original content,
Yeah.
but I'd be lying if I said like I'm not. It's not going to be just one day where I'm like, I'm just going to watch Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo.
I
I'm
may
just gonna.
It's going to be like the WWE network where I'm like, I want to like I'll put it on for like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that is. Click.
Yeah,
Or like, is there going to be a moment in your life because like, Potch's New Groove? Like, are you excited? Do you want to see a
no,
third Emperor's New Groove movie?
I never saw the second one.
Kronk's New Groove?
Nope. Nope.
Uh, The Parent Trap again. I like.
How many times did we remake that movie?
I don't know, but how is it any different from like so many of the other like you know a new Peter Pan, a Peter Pan 3, a Sister Act 3.
With Whoopi, is Whoopi in it?
I I can't imagine you not having her in it, but
Yeah.
also, do you have her in it? Let's see. Whoopi Goldberg initially refused, citing the passing of so many of her nun co-stars.
Oh
Uh,
God.
that's that's the most that's the most depressing thing that we've ever said on this show.
I'm sorry for laughing. It just the way it was worded.
Oh boy.
Maggie Smith's still alive, and she was in that movie.
But during a 2015 appearance of Watch What Happens Live, she changed her stance to a maybe. She expressed doubts about a sequel based on missing. After Broad City cameo in 2016, Whoopi expressed doubts about a sequel based on missing cast members, but said she thought it would be fun and likable. Oh, she is hung up on so many old women have died, so we can't make a third one. Like, I feel like you could make a third one. They don't have to be
Yeah.
there. you
We
just
don't
get
need to.
new. You just get new old nuns. It's okay.
Yeah. It's the like. I mean, for God's sakes, they recast Han Solo. It's
Yeah.
okay, Whoopi. We can get it.
In May 2017, she affirmed her desire for a third film to happen, adding in July that she would like to direct it. On December 7th, 2018, it was confirmed that Regina Y. Hicks and Karen Gist were hired to write the script for Sister Act 3 and is being planned for release on Disney Plus.
So who knows?
Who knows what's
Whoopi's
going to
part.
happen? Yeah, so if they're calling it Sister Act 3 and just not Sister Act, then I'm assuming they've got her locked in. I don't feel like you make a third movie. It's not like the Tooth Fairy, where it's just like, we're just Tooth Fairy 2. This time it's Larry the Cable Guy instead of
Yeah.
The Rock Johnson. There's no.
Or the Bring It On sequels.
Yeah. Like, if you weren't going to have Whoopi in it, you would just make a new Sister Act. Just
Yeah.
make a new Sister Act. You wouldn't call it Sister Act 3, so.
Right.
So, yeah, there's that. Sword in the Stone live action movie, I think, is what that's supposed to be.
It's just Camelot.
Yeah. And Treasure Planet 2, which.
Who's asking for that?
Disney. Just. I can't
I
wait
guess.
to. I cannot wait to get to that episode.
Yeah.
Because that movie is so disappointing in such a like a weird level. Like it should work, but but that's not all the. That's just the movies. But then like You look at like the uh, TV shows coming to Disney Plus.
We have that Chip and Dale show.
Yeah, new Chip and Dale show. High School Musical's coming back. There's a Three Caballeros show coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mandalorian, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All these Marvel stuff. There's a
WandaVision, yeah.
yeah. There's a Monsters Inc. show that's coming called Monsters at Work. There's a
It's gonna
hundred.
have it with John Goodman and Billy Crystal.
Yeah,
They're just gonna do the show. All right.
because at this point we're hitting this like weird future where what's the difference between doing 20 episodes of a TV show that you're doing voiceovers for or doing like a month's worth of voice recordings for a movie? It's all going to go to the same distribution in the end anyways. You're going to get the
Yeah.
same paycheck. So
Right.
there's no big deal about it anymore. So
Yeah, and it's better to embrace the streaming now.
yeah, a new 101 Dalmatians,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's What If, which I'm very excited for.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and apparently there's been rumors that they might touch on some of the stuff that the time travel potentials
Yeah.
from Endgame. So that'll be fun.
Which I guess well, I guess we can kind of talk about that, how they're re-releasing that thing
Yeah,
with extra stuff. So who knows?
yeah. I mean, yeah, Endgame's coming out next weekend. I think it is.
Yeah. I
From
want
when
the
from when we're recording this, how the sausage is made. We are recording this on June 22nd.
yes. I really want the What If where Galactus turns into Elvis.
Listen, I think it's just whatever. I don't even think they're tied down to like
The original What Ifs.
yeah, I don't even think they're tied to like style. Like I feel like you could just put out a cartoon episode one week and people would be fine with it. Live
Yeah.
action the next week, claymation the next week,
Yeah.
whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with What If. So, but like a What If inspired by the MCU is very interesting because I think it's like that's the goal. It's not just What If like Marvel. It's What If MCU, and that's very cool.
Yeah, like, so then you can start tying some of those Netflix shows in if you wanted to.
Yeah. They're bringing back Clone Wars for a 7th season for there.
Cool.
A Cassian Andor series from Star Wars. So, all right.
They're really going heavy on the Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going heavier in Marvel than they are Star Wars, but like, because like Clone Wars is already a thing. It's got an established continuity, and it's just like it was a show that people didn't want to end in the first place, but kind of got caught up in that weird Disney buyout thing where what do you do? Do you keep going, or do you just start doing your own thing? So it's like, we'll do our own thing, and then they tied their own thing into this thing, and it's like, let's just make this thing again. That's what the people really want. Like they didn't really. Rebels was fine, but that's not what the people wanted. They wanted more Clone Wars.
Well, I mean, also with Clone Wars, you can only go so far until you hit like Revenge of the Sith. So.
Yeah, and eventually you hit Revenge of the Sith, but there's enough of a gap that you could just sort of drag. Well, even with Revenge of the Sith, like you can only get so far as well with like the Obi-Wan, like the A New Hope stuff and things like that, because like with Rebels and stuff, you have like Obi-Wan having his final conflict with Darth Maul and all that stuff.
And he's already, and Obi-Wan's already like gray hair and
so like inevitably that like you're gonna butt up with that, but you could make a Clone Wars aftermath kind of thing and keep it in there. So like what, because like that's basically what some of the stuff is already. So
do you foresee a circumstance where they heck with it and put the Droids cartoon on there?
Oh, I can absolutely see them putting the droids and Ewok stuff on there. I mean, you can get that stuff on DVD.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why. It's not like it's the holiday special, which I don't see them putting up there.
But they should. They really should. Like, it's launching the month before Christmas.
Yeah.
Put it on there.
It seems for the most part that they have full intentions of like respecting George Lucas's like legacy and his opinions. Like it really sounds like as days tick to months, tick to years, the
Yeah.
chances of getting an unmodified original trilogy lessens every year
Yeah.
at this
It's
point.
that whole thing where I think like the only copy of like the only film
I think
viewing master is
the
like
only
Library of Congress.
master. It's like yeah, because I
Library of
mean there was
Congress. Yeah.
yeah, but there was the story that there is an unedited when they were doing Rogue One. There was
Right.
a non-special edition 4K transfer of A New Hope that they had watched. Uh, so who knows? Who knows what is going on with that? I
Right.
will. It never coming out is probably more likely than it coming out. But
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible, especially now that Disney owns it all outright because they bought Fox. Because
So
that was always a problem was that Disney, like Fox, was like forever owned A New Hope in particular.
yeah.
But like now they own Fox, so what's it matter?
Now Indiana Jones does not fall under the Disney banner, right?
I think it does. I think they bought. I think when they got Lucas, they got the whole.
Because that was a Paramount Films, is why I ask.
Yeah, but I think like because they like own the IP,
Okay.
so they
So
I don't know about distribution. I think it might be a situation like Star Wars when they bought Star Wars because they own Star Wars. They don't
outright.
own the distribution for they were unable to release the original trilogy themselves. Like they wanted to put out A New Hope, it had to be co-partnered with Fox because
Right.
Fox owned it in perpetuity.
But
And
not a problem now.
not a problem now. So I think it might like if they want to make Indiana Jones 4, they can make Indiana Jones 4, but I don't think they can release the DVDs and Blu-rays of Indiana Jones
Yeah.
because
Like they could actually make that fourth Indiana Jones movie. So
yeah,
that fan film that came out. That really bad fan film.
I don't know how they got everyone to like they got Harrison Ford to agree to that, but
Yeah.
it would be cool to
Blackmail.
just yeah. I do like my I like the scene where he's just like looking at a picture of Sean Connery, like
Yeah.
like oh Dad, I miss you.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
Sean, what am I doing in this movie, Sean?
yeah.
I don't know.
Boy, they got some the documentaries they have coming up, like nonfiction series. Like they have several like Marvel themed ones.
Okay.
There's apparently a documentary series slash anthology called Marvel's 616, which
Okay.
don't know what that's about. There's no link to go and see what that's about, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
The
It's
history of if you could try to a documentary series trying to make sense of the mainline Marvel
yeah.
comics continuity would be very interesting.
So for guys, if you're listening and you're kind of confused what that means is in Marvel Comics, there's alternate universes. The Marvel 616 universe is the mainline universe.
That's when you think of Marvel comic books, when you think of just your basic, simple Marvel comics, not Punisher
Ult-
destroys the Marvel universe or Ultimate or
Ultimates or
yeah, whatever.
Marvel Knights or whatever that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
This is just like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and Iron Man and Hulk and
I mean,
all that.
they go into good sort of. If you've seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's basically it. How there's
Yes.
yeah, I mean that's each one of those universes that they come from comes from its own unique
Right.
splinter. Spider-Man Noir comes from a universe filled with noir Marvel characters, and there's a whole comic book line of Spider-Man Noir and X-Men Noir and you know a
Right.
Daredevil Noir and things like that. So
Yeah. Like for instance, the Marvel Zombies universe is the 666 universe,
yeah,
which get it.
yeah.
Uh, but
what
yeah,
is what I always forget what like the MCU is it's like
which,
I know it's like 19999 like just one shy of 200,000 so
yeah,
like but it like gets, but like within, that's like in the comics, but in the movie, if you're looking in the movie universe, it's 616 within its own universe.
Right.
And it's, yeah, that it gets, when you get down to the rabbit hole of the multiverse in any, in Marvel or DC, it becomes a
Right.
nightmare, and time means nothing because it's been going on for 60 years, 80 years, depending on what universe you're in and who you're talking to.
Yeah, if you're going off timely or whatever. But
Yeah.
The exciting thing about that 616 documentary would be like, hey, we're going to acknowledge the X-Men and the Fantastic Four now.
I wonder, like, yeah, I wonder what they do with any of that at this point. Like, you're so far off from
Like
any
as
of
far
that
as
stuff.
movies go, or
Anything like hinting, like doing something to make a tease, because in like the Netflix series, they sort of
yeah,
make vague teases to some things, but like
right,
so vague. Like,
yeah,
like it's like where you could just easily just write it off as coincidence, but it's not. But
yeah. I guess the best way to go about it is just like, let's just do an animated series. Yeah,
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 let's just do an animated series. So,
yeah. Oh man, just bring back the X-Men cartoon from the '90s and pretend like nothing
yeah.
happened. Just keep going, just same style, just the same everything. Just,
Well, if you remember, the Spider-Man cartoon was in the same universe as X-Men,
oh
and
yeah,
when they did Secret Wars and it had the
and
X-Men.
then they did a Fantastic Four one that they kind of
Yep. There, and
wrapped in.
then the Silver Surfer one,
Yeah,
and then there was an Avengers cartoon on Fox Kids,
there was.
Avengers Unlimited. Is that what it was? No, I think it's
Justice
Spider
League.
Man.
Yeah, he's Spider-Man Unlimited. You're mixing
Yeah,
Spider-Man Unlimited, Justice League Unlimited. It's
yeah, but it was an Avengers cartoon with like,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, I can't wait to just see what happens. But it's one of those things where it's like, do I also just like not hold my breath for years at this point?
yeah, but they have it, so it's there, you
Yeah,
know. Uh, but like the other thing is, yes, like original content, like or not original content, like old stuff. Like, can I watch a Disney afternoon on this thing?
yeah, yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, I God, I hope. But
Can JJ and I do a live show while we're watching 20,000 Leagues? Maybe.
maybe, who knows? We can only hope so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and Disney or Disney Plus, like Disney owns the majority of Hulu now.
Yeah.
So that's where like anything that's R rated in the Disney pantheon is going to be stay on Hulu.
Right.
Um, I will, I will make a very hard play to just let me present to the universe the Song of the South movie. I'll give it context. Just put me.
Yes.
uh,
You and Leonard Maltin just popping up. Hey, check it out.
I'm
So
just
yeah,
I'm just
it's
reading something about the Star Wars stuff that was okay. So it was initially unclear whether the first 6 films of the Star Wars franchise would be available on the service's launch because Turner holds the streaming rights through 2024. But on April 11th,
right.
2019, it was announced the films would be available on launch with The Force Awakens and Rogue One. So
Cool.
what Turner owns then, I don't know.
Well, TNT shows like they show them every couple weekends or a couple times
Yeah,
a month. They'll
yeah.
show them. Yeah.
Oh,
But like there's all
you'll be able to watch Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, AEW Wrestling. And
yep.
then you can watch New Hope.
Yep. That sounds like a great
some
afternoon.
yeah, some
That sounds like
basketball.
a fantastic afternoon. But like it's all that weird stuff that I'm kind of like, and I don't want to get my hopes up for it,
Yeah.
but there's all those things around the fringes of
Yeah.
Disney
I mean,
and what they own.
just think about this show and what I have presented to you that you've never seen before already.
Right.
Like, I mean, there are several episodes of this show where I've made you watch things that you didn't know existed
Yeah.
or didn't know, like there would be no reason for you to know they exist.
Yeah.
And
Like Melody Time. I would have not
yeah,
watched Melody Time.
no, you've never watched Melody Time. You will never watch Melody Time again. And, and I just can't. Some of these will be interesting to have in like high definition sources.
Yes.
You know, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is not available on Blu-ray. Um, and you'll be able to get it on Blu-ray, but it's like a Disney Movie Club exclusive.
Right.
Like, I'm not signing up for Disney Movie Club to get 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, despite desperately wanting it. But
So,
Disney Plus will have it in high definition. It's like this week, a big release on Netflix was Neon Genesis Evangelion.
so I've heard.
Yeah, and like that hasn't been in production as a DVD for a decade, like literally a decade. So
Mhm.
the highest quality of that in America was a DVD set released, 10 years ago. So to
Which was
have it, yeah, which was great
that was off a
then.
VHS transfer, wasn't it? Anyway.
Well, they did a platinum series, which ended up
Okay.
okay, and remastered some of it. But like still it's a DVD. It's 480i by default. 480p at best if you have an up converting DVD player or whatever. But in Japan it came out in Blu-ray because it's still a big show there, and there's no weird license American rights or anything. It's them. This company still owns it, and they put it out. It still exists, and they put it out.
Yeah.
But so now to have that available in high definition is very cool. And that's what I'm hoping with a lot of this Disney stuff. There's some things that just don't have high definition versions that you can get. And it'll be interesting to see them and sort of as best quality available.
Yeah. It's like, so let me ask you a question. What one or two things that could potentially be on the service excite you? Like, aside from what you already know.
There's not really, I mean, see, for me, anything that would excite me, like we've already talked about, I'm very excited for a high definition transfer of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's what
Right.
I'm excited for. I'm like strictly high definition transfers of some of these. Like I would love to see The Black Hole
Yes,
in
the black
1080p.
hole. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Disney. Like there's some of those movies like that, like some of these, Treasure Island, Captain Blood, or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of these old Disney live action films that don't get the attention that they get as some of the animation does, and some of the more modern live action stuff gets. So like there's this strain of movies that came out in the 40s that Walt worked on that would be very interesting to see in high definition and not
Yeah.
get a half hearted DVD release that came out that has no special features, and like the special feature is you flip the box around, it's like special features, menu, trailer, like yeah,
Previews of other movies.
yeah, scene selection is not a bonus feature, but with some of its early DVDs it most certainly was.
Yeah. And while it doesn't sound like a big deal, but like, watching a remastered version of Absent Minded Professor would be kind of cool.
Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Those are the things. Like I would watch the original Herbie the Love Bug in HD and love it.
Yeah.
Like I know, like we joked about earlier, I don't want to see Herbie Goes Bananas in like it's not an option for me. I'm not gonna sit around and think like I should watch Herbie's Monte Carlo Adventure, or whatever, but I think they are making a new Herbie the Love Bug though.
They probably are.
It sounds like something that I've heard rumor of, and it makes sense that they would.
So there's one thing. Okay, I can't tell you one of my things, and it's dumb.
Okay.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Yeah, that is dumb. You're right.
Yeah. Listen, that movie is kind of freaky, but it's kind of scary at parts. There's ghosts and Sean Connery singing, so
I guess, yeah, terrifying.
you pick which one.
Which one you're actually scared about?
Yeah, I think. But now, am I like jazzed to go watch like high def Apple Dumpling Gang? Probably not.
That's not to say I won't put it on. But
Yeah, it's on there. Yeah,
like some of that stuff, like if they could do if like we could get a remaster of some of the old Davy Crockett's would be fun.
yeah.
Like, because I have the Disney Treasure sets of those, but just DVDs. So as time goes on, they look worse and worse because things getting better and better. So like some of those, like I got that Blu-ray set, that 90th anniversary Mickey Mouse set, which has these old Mickey Mouse shorts in high definition on them. And it's very cool because like the DVDs look good, but like the Blu-ray is even better. Yeah. So
Now, I'm surprised you didn't mention something. The potential for 4K Tron.
like I just assume that that's going to come out on disc at some point in the near future.
Yeah.
Especially with the roller coasters coming soon and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, like, but at least Tron exists on Blu-ray. So, like,
it's a very bare bones Blu-ray, though.
Yeah, I've got the Mega set that has like Tron Classic, Tron Legacy, and Tron Legacy in 3D.
Yeah.
Tron Legacy in 3D is a very interesting 3D movie because typical 3D movies just do everything in 3D, but not Tron Legacy. It only goes into 3D when you're in the computer world, and when you're out of the computer world, it stops the 3D. So the whole first half of the movie isn't in 3D, and like the final sequence of the movie is not in 3D, but everything in the middle is. It's very interesting.
There's a whole bunch of weird stuff around Tron. Like why are you making another Tron now? Why did the Lego set just come out for Tron Legacy?
Like the length between Tron and Tron Legacy is just as absurd as the length between Tron Legacy and the Tron Legacy Lego set. Yeah. Like, it's because it was like
last year.
So that's, I mean, in Tron, I have a movie poster that's being covered up back here, so I can't actually see what year that came out, but it was got to be 10 years ago by now, right? Like 2009.
No,
I'm connected to the internet at all times. I can just
I have a little computer in my hand here.
2010. So
yeah. So yeah. Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
So
and Bridges looked old then.
Yeah. I forgot how upsetting it can look in that movie with young Bridges.
Young Bridges. Yeah.
It's okay in the computer world. It's upsetting, but at the same time, it's like it's in the computer world. Like so, but when they have the opening scene with him,
yeah,
it's actually disturbing. Like
it is
when you're presenting it as a human being and not like an AI living in a computer. It's like, no, this does not work. This doesn't work.
There was a lot of time between that and like, hey, let's just make CGI Grand Moff Tarkin because Peter Cushing's dead, which looked like it looked decent.
Yeah, well, you want to know something that's crazy that I just learned? There's a cool YouTube channel that has visual effects artists reacting to visual effects shots and stuff, and they sort of break down some of the stuff. So they showed a shot of Logan,
right?
The Wolverine movie that came out most recently, and it was how they did the visual effect of young Logan when he's I forget what he's what was his designation in the
X24 maybe, who knows
at this point. I forget, but whatever that clone of Hugh Jackman was, like they're trying to figure it out. Well, one of the guys knew, trying to figure out, it's like, is it like, because a common thing is like face masking kind of thing or de-aging, and they showed how they really did it. It's actually from like his chest up is all CG, pure CG. Like that is a 100% recreated in a computer Hugh Jackman head.
Are
There's
you
no
kidding? You can't tell.
no, and they were blown away by how perfect they made that Hugh Jackman look. Like they nailed everything with that.
Wow.
So yeah, just like that, the entire head from like the collarbone up is completely fake. Like it's not even like they put like Hugh Jackman's face on somebody else and manipulated it. It's just they recreated Hugh Jackman from 1999 in a computer and put it on top of this, actor.
They real scan Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
Now we're entering the Titantron.
yeah. So I could talk. Listen. I am going to make us do an episode of Tron at some point. Both of
I
them.
would. I
Probably,
would.
probably the same episode.
I'm down with that. I love Tron.
I love Tron, and I love Tron Legacy. I
Uh,
absolutely love Tron Legacy.
have you played Tron recently?
The arcade game.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an
Boy.
arcade in the area that has that. And
It's I think I remember it fondly, more fondly than I should have.
yeah, no, it's depressing. To like,
Was,
oh yeah, that's right. This isn't. They actually made when Legacy came out, Space Paranoids,
yeah.
the game in Tron. Like I was
Right.
at Disneyland at the time. Surprise, surprise! When Tron came out, I can say that about any Disney movie. I was like, I was at Disneyland when this movie came out, and that's true.
It was there for the premiere.
Yeah, I was I was there when they were about to premiere Pirates 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were going to have the premiere that night or something. So like, and they were going to play it like on a big screen, like on the Rivers of America or something. Like it's like
That's
some
kind of cool
crazy
to
thing
watch.
that was going on there. But like obviously normal, us plebeians, park guests aren't allowed to do this. We're
Oh,
closing the park, and then only special people are allowed in. So,
oh, I gotcha. I was,
yeah,
it was like you just hung out.
yeah. But
Hey, no Bloom. What's up?
yeah. Um, but like, yeah, when Tron Legacy came out, they turned the area at California Adventure, where when you were just there, it was the PhilharMagic area with
Yeah.
lots. Back then, it didn't have a lot going on, and it still doesn't. Um, now it's just sort of
No.
designated. Now it's just sort of designated Marvel area, where you can just meet all of these Marvel characters, which I don't
Each
know.
with
I don't know what they're going to do once the Marvel Land opens up there, but that area is just going to fall apart like it already is. But back then, because there was nothing going on there, um, when Tron came out, they turned it into the nightclub from Tron Legacy,
Mhm.
like to a T. Like they had live music every night, music blaring, lasers, and Tron themed drinks, and they had Flynn's Arcade in the back.
That'd been awesome.
Go into and
I would have
then
loved to
every
see that.
yeah, then every once in a while, I have tokens from it still because they had Flynn's Arcade tokens, like special tokens made that you put in the machines that I kept. Because of course I want Flynn's Arcade tokens.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, the Tron machine would like activate the hidden door that was in
Mhm.
Flynn's, and it would open up, and a light cycle was back there that you could look at and check out and stuff. It was just blaring 80s music nonstop, and it had a Space Paranoids machine that you could play, which was
God, sounds awesome.
it was so good. And
Bring it
then
back.
after that went down, they did the Mad Hatter Tea Party, like the same
Eh.
concept of it was a dance club thing, but it was set to the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland stuff. So not as cool.
Okay. So once Marvel Land gets built,
Yeah.
they should utilize some of the Fox properties. Like they just have like a guy dressed as a John McClane walking around.
Like, at one point they were going to make a Disney attraction that featured a xenomorph. They were going to partner up with Fox and get a xenomorph into the what ended up becoming the extraterrestrial. Uh, I forget what the exact ride name was at Disney World. Was going to have a
Mhm.
xenomorph in it, and that was going to be the thing. There was going to be an alien themed ride at Disney
God,
World,
that would have been amazing.
and inevitably the partnership just ended up with there was an alien sequence in the Great Movie Ride, but
Hmm.
that was it. But like, I just bring it back now that you own this
Now
Amor.
they could
Just
put
bring
a
it back.
xenomorph.
Just make change Soarin' over California to be a Prometheus ride.
Yep.
And just really make people happy.
And then the Guardians Escape just turned into the Nostromo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would actually be way okay with that.
Yeah.
They could because at Halloween they do a horror themed version of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Hmm.
At nighttime they change it to like yeah, like, oh, we didn't get Groot out and there's monsters on the loose because we broke everything kind of thing.
Hmm.
It'd be fun though, just have a xenomorph in there. Just replace like the scary monsters with the xenomorphs. Have the Guardians versus the xenomorphs.
Hell yeah. Well, like, can you imagine, okay, we're gonna have John McClane walking around and Dutch from Predator walking around, and Ripley walking around.
Well, it's funny when I was at Disney World and they have that Pandora land, the Avatar area.
Yeah.
It's like, think about like, there's literally like a costumed character where it's the thing is they're a military person walking around in the big exosuit thing
Yeah.
that looks almost exactly like the power lifters from
From Aliens. Yeah.
Aliens, and like you just look at it, it's like you put a woman in there and it's like that's just Ripley doing the power lifter thing, and you would not, you paint it yellow and black and it's like Sigourney Weaver's already in Pandora, so let's
Yeah.
just
You just put a curly haired woman in there, and there you
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Man, that's all sounds so great.
yeah.
This needs to
And
happen.
then,
Disney,
yeah,
anybody higher up to be listening.
just
I need
I
Hans Gruber walking around harassing guests.
like I can never see them integrating Fox properties that way in any
Yeah.
way with theme parks. It's just Disney, despite everything, like you can count on one hand the number of crossovers they've ever done. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
by owning everything, they don't let never the twain shall meet kind of thing.
Right.
Like it's just they don't do a whole lot of that kind of stuff,
It,
and
it
none of the Fox stuff in particular has any sort of place to fit in at Disney
no.
theme parks. Like California Adventure is about the best you could do, especially if you ever do anything to try to redesign that Hollywood backlot area.
Yeah.
Because and same thing with like Disney World has the MGM Studios. No, it's not. It's the Disney Hollywood Studios now that they're opening. That's where the Star Wars is there, and um, it's not so Hollywood Studios anymore. But owning Fox and stuff, it's like with California Adventure has the Hollywood backlot thing, but there's so little Hollywood involved with
Yeah.
it.
It's Hollywood name only, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like the entrance to it has a Hollywood theme to it, but like there's a theater in the very back, and that's kind of like none of the rides have anything Hollywood related. The Tower Hotel at least had the Hollywood Tower Hotel at least sort of thematically fit in there, but it's not that anymore. And when it was the Muppets was over there, because when that land first opened, I'm just destroying future episodes of this podcast.
Eh.
When that land first opened, it was very much Hollywood themed. Like the opening gates was very familiar. It had a ABC themed like soap opera themed restaurant that you could go into, and like
Okay.
each like dining area was based on like this one is based off of General Hospital, like the town that it takes place in. So it's like stuff like that, and there was like you could go play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It had the Muppets 3D movie, which fits into the Hollywood Lands theme pretty well. It had the Monsters Inc. ride was Superstar Limo ride, which I feel like only lasted like a year or two. It's considered one of the worst Disney attractions ever made. Um, and the ride that's there now, that Monsters Inc. ride, is virtually unchanged. It's like the same track and same vehicles. Like some of the animatronics inside are still exactly the same. They just put yellow hazmat suits over them. And I'm dead serious.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Uh, but
So,
yeah, that's. I mean, I'm joking about like seeing that stuff, but like the
but if
potential was
yeah,
if they
but if
wanted
you
to.
actually do something with the Hollywood theming of some of these areas and having that Fox stuff could help at least have something going on, make it seem like it's Hollywood in some way, shape, or form. But it'll never happen. And I don't know what's going to happen with that Hollywood backlot area at California Adventure in particular. But one at Disney World is going to be fine at Hollywood Studios because it, like with the exception of like the Aerosmith roller coaster kind of interesting thing to like. I guess because you're driving through Hollywood and LA, it, like
Yeah,
it has the Tower Hotel, it has stunt show, Indiana Jones stunt show, and it has Star Tours is there. It's not at Disneyland, it's at the Hollywood Studios, which is weird because like it's gonna have the same problem with Disneyland. Like it's the Star Wars stuff, but at least it's in the same theme park.
yeah. And then
Because like,
and then you stop and play Revolution X.
yep, that would be
Yeah,
awesome. They just had Revolution X machines at the exit of the Rock and Roller Coaster. I would
yeah.
that, but yeah,
You just see like Steven Tyler walking around, and he's got like the little satchel of quarters.
he's got that little. He's got that little thing that was those old like car hop, the little
Yeah,
dispenser.
just
Yeah, oh, it'd be so great.
yeah.
What's he doing now, anyways? He could do that if he wanted to.
Who knows? But
But I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about because like I said I'm going to give away,
yeah,
giving away future episodes of the show. Like eventually, we're going to run out of movies for the animated stuff. Theoretically, there's always going to be a new movie, so there's always going to be every year you could theoretically just come back in and pop in
yeah.
another one. Um, but like
We're concluding with Frozen 2
Frozen two, Frozen
as
two,
of this year.
yeah, Frozen two will be like the series season finale. That series in a way, it's because like each one is sort of going to be themes. Like
Yeah.
season two, I'm starting to put together. I've shown Nick some of my ideas for it already, but season two is going to 100% be theme park based because there's a lot of meat on those bones.
And we talk the theme park stuff like every episode anyway.
Yeah,
So, and we don't touch on a lot of it.
yeah, we just
It's
sort of
just
touch on like the existence and the tie-in stuff to it, but there's so much more to it than that, and it's tricky for me because my passion lies in Disneyland. Um, I mean, I went to Disney World last year and I enjoyed myself, but I still have like a deep passion for Disneyland.
yeah.
And I know more about I know the history of Disneyland and Disney World in particular, but Disneyland more than Disney World. But I know plenty about the history and the background of Disney World. Not so much the foreign parks. I know some stuff, stuff that matters, but not like the nuts and bolts of some things. Uh,
Well, I mean,
so
part of it is geographically Disneyland's easier for you to get to,
yeah,
and there's more history there.
there's more history there, and I think
Yeah.
uh, like I like to I like the Walt legacy of things, and like there's
Yeah.
plenty of that with Disney World, but I feel but so season two is absolutely going to be focused on Disneyland. It's not to say the other theme parks won't be in there because a lot of stuff ties in really seamlessly.
And they share some same attractions too.
They share some same attractions. In some cases, they started at Disney World first and made their way to Disneyland. And so the trick was trying to figure out how to break it down because it's easy with this. You just go in chronological order of the
Yep.
movies, and that's easy. How do you do that? You can't go chronological order of the theme park because like you're going to start with 1955 and work your way to 2020 or whatever. It doesn't work that way. Um, so as it stands now, I created my own list of sort of eras. Um, so like the newborn era, the second like the second grand opening era, the
Mhm.
after Walt era, the Eisner era, and the modern era is basically sort of how I've broken it down. And then in each one of those headings, you're going to focus on one area of Disneyland or Disney World, since they share a lot of lands and concepts together, but mostly Disneyland.
It's just gloves and be JJ talking about how ugly Tomorrowland was in the late
Yeah.
90s.
And after the remodel of 1998, and I sent you a picture the other day where I found a picture of us on, not us, me and you, but like my
Yeah.
family on Rocket Rods, which is one of the opening day attractions for New Tomorrowland in the 90s, mid
Yeah.
90s, and um, I can't see myself in the photo, but I see my dad in there, and I'm sitting next to him. So that ride was open for 2 years max. Because so it's cool to have just a little goofy piece of like, yeah, I waited in line. We waited in line for 3 hours to get on that ride.
But you didn't know. Like how are
You
you to know?
should, well, you should have known because the reason you were waiting in line for 3 hours is because it broke down every 45 minutes.
Oh, well, okay. I thought like wasn't a demand thing.
It wasn't a demand thing. The ride probably would have gone much smoother if that thing wasn't breaking down all the time. But it was because they made the brilliant decision to put a high speed ride on the people mover track and not change an ounce of the people mover track.
But like I've talked about before, like I was there for grad night in 1998 when it had that copper
Yeah.
whatever nonsense.
Yeah, and there's sort of like there is a reason for it to have that look because future plans and plans that were going on at other theme parks sort of inspired that look. But because of somebody wasting a lot of money uh,
Uh,
on certain theme park things, um,
hmm. Hmm.
plans fell apart and like this horrible copper because it was all supposed to be Jules Verne. Like that
Yeah.
was the concept behind it.
Oh, okay. I
So
guess that
yeah, and like
makes
so
some
like
sense.
yeah, because at the time they were just like Disneyland Paris they don't have a Tomorrowland there. They have Discovery. I can't remember if it's Discovery Land or Discovery Island. I think at one point it was supposed to be Discovery Island or
It's
something.
Discovery Zone.
But
It's in the mall.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I'm going to DZ Discovery Zone.
yeah.
But that is 100% Jules Verne themed. Like the Space Mountain there used to be based on like a rocket to the moon.
Hmm.
Uh, so you know that's and so obviously a lot of copper and steampunky stuff, and it makes a lot of sense for if you kept the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride there or
But
something.
they were
You know,
phasing it out at that point.
so like because there was big plans on the way at this time. A third gate, or not third gate, a second gate was already in the works for Disneyland. You know, get to it when we get to that season, but like things fell apart. Things fell apart hard, and then 2001 happens, and everything is ruined.
Yeah.
So the travel
Uh,
industry is completely and utterly ruined. On top of Michael Eisner just throwing money that can never be recovered around. So everything went
well,
wrong. So eventually, slowly but surely, the copper sheen gets washed away.
we can also, like, I mean, I guess you bring up 2001. We could also talk about like theme park wise. Man, does Disney have that security process pretty streamlined?
I
Like,
was very impressed.
dude, like if it's like a long line, you're just in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not like they're having a small amount of people passing through the gates, but like
No,
every single one of us is going through, and they're looking through every single person's bag, and not just kind of like they open it up, they put a flashlight in there, they feel around and send you on your way, and then you go through a metal detectors and you're through. But
and they
it's
have
such
different
a,
lines for different things.
yeah, like if you don't have a bag, you get to go through this line, and then
Like, do you have a stroller? This line.
yeah, like yeah, it's the best metal detectors
Yeah.
featured security line I have ever been in. I was at a wrestling show a couple of weekends ago that had metal detectors out front, and it took like 20 minutes to get through, and there was only like 8 people in front of me. Like it just,
Disney has hundreds of thousands of people go through its gates a day. And this is, by the way, this is not just for
there's
Disneyland. This is for California Adventure as well.
yeah,
And you still
yeah.
have to
So
go
in
through the
order,
same things. So
yeah, so they're basically like for your typical user, your typical like guest, you only have like two entrances. You're coming in through the parking, like where the buses drop you off and stuff into the Esplanade, and from the hotel downtown Disney area into the Esplanade. Um, uh, and that's kind of it. I mean, if you're staying at the Grand Californian, you get a different entrance. Um, but other than that, I mean, like it's a choke point. Like there's only really two ways into the to the main gates of either park, and they have it down. Like it wasn't so great the first when they first introduced the metal detectors.
yeah.
Um, but when I went, they only had like 3 metal detectors.
Yeah,
So,
back then they didn't really like, yeah.
yeah,
But even like, so when we were there, like my wife lost her ticket somewhere and she's like, "Oh no, like it's on your phone." And they have redundancies in place.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you will get you in here to spend
yeah.
money.
So I had when I went to Disney World, I had um, they have the Magic Band stuff,
Yes.
which is very cool. I had I wore my Magic Band when I went to Universal Studios and lost it at Universal Studios. Um, Never found it. And I get back to the theme. First of all, I get back there and I'm like, I lost my Magic Band. Well, where'd you lose it? And I said, Universal Studios. Why were you wearing it at Universal Studios? It's like, look, I knew I was coming here after that, so I just figured it was better to just wear it and have it.
Yeah. And so they
Don't
give you a hard time about going to
yeah,
Universal.
yeah, don't judge me, lady. Just give me then they gave me a little plastic card that did the same exact thing. But I ended up going and buying the exact same Magic Band again, uh, but yeah, and like everything's done through the apps these days. So if you don't have your paper ticket, you're perfectly fine, or plastic ticket, or however you get it. Yeah,
Like
you're
we
just
we
perfectly
ordered
fine.
JJ and I discussed this earlier, like an early episode. We freaking ordered food to the app.
And you just walk up and pick it up. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like that's how I got
You
my
pay,
got
yeah, you
our
pay through Dole Whip.
yeah.
It's like if you want to get a Dole Whip, it's either wait in line for 20 minutes or
At
pay ahead of
at the
time.
least.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but
yeah, it's
they have yeah, it's cool. I love
like
it. So
I it makes it easy. It makes it easy for like uh, if Disneyland is a big deal for more people than not because it's not cheap.
no,
It's so for the experience to be like pleasant and relatively headache free is nice.
yeah, it's one of those things where I can imagine being able to do so much of that stuff through app
Right.
helping large families
Yeah.
substantially. Being able to just order a meal, going, picking it up, and having it be ready saves so much of a headache of having to wait in line at a restaurant. A kid doesn't want to wait for food. Period.
No,
He's at
I'm a
Disneyland.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah, Disneyland either wants to eat right now or he wants to be doing something at Disneyland. So the more time you save doing that stuff, the better.
Yeah.
Um, but and it's even more like all of that stuff at Disney World is that times 1,000.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you're ordering meals, but also everything's like this NFC, the near field communication stuff, like the Magic Bands.
I was like the Vikings and the Packers and the
Yeah. Uh,
Seahawks.
yeah. Um, but but like everything is that way. So like they know where you're at any given time. In some
I
instances, there were times where I was on a ride, got off the ride, and went back to my app later, and pictures of me being on that ride were in the app's like photo booth thing. Like I didn't tap my wrist anywhere or anything. So just by the mere exiting the ride, it like scanned my wristband, and yeah,
yeah. Let's put it this way: if you're a Luddite, a Disney theme park may not be for you.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think it's probably impossible to do Disney World if you don't have a smartphone at this point.
Yeah.
Everything's so tied into the app that just doing anything, your ticket is digital for the most part. Like like you have everything. They want you to pay using your Max Pass or whatever.
Yeah.
Your Magic Bands and stuff like that. Like if you want to make fast passes, you do it through the app. Like they
Yeah.
have kiosks, but they're few and far between. It's not like Disneyland where they don't have the infrastructure for that. So the rides that have fast passes have fast pass kiosks nearby. Um, at Disney World, it's like we have two fast pass kiosks per like. There's like I just remember Epcot's like there's the fast pass kiosk here. That's where you go if you need to do
Right.
something with fast pass. You go here. Like it's just like, or you use the app and do it anywhere in the park, and you can do it, 60 days in advance or whatever. So
It's just like
Disneyland,
basically
you can easily do the park without having smartphone connectivity, but you will be doing everything longer. You'll be
yeah,
wasting more time.
it made things easier, like because I hadn't been there since they really embraced that technology.
Yeah.
So going there and going, oh word, I can just like use the Apple Pay for this thing. Like, all right, great. Yeah.
Being able to not, being able to get a fast pass for a ride you're nowhere near
Yes.
is very. It's like I pay like it's an extra. I forget what it was. It's like an extra $15 per ticket to do
Yes.
Max Pass,
Yeah.
but Max Pass lets you get digital fast passes and lets you get all of your photos.
And it is. So it was $30 for me and my wife, 15
Yeah,
for you and your, or 30 for you and your
30,
mom, I think.
yeah,
100% worth it.
absolutely.
100% worth it.
Even if you're a large family, it will suck because each one of you will have to pay that $15 if you want the fast pass part of that. But if you just want the picture part of it, $15 to get pictures for whatever, the people taking your photo, the ride photos, whatever, is included with that $15. So only
Yeah.
one person has to do that. And for that alone, if you're a big family, would be a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
that way you don't have to spend it's $15 to get a Splash Mountain photo. Just a single printed out there Splash Mountain photo. Or you could just get to pay the $15 and get a Splash Mountain photo, a digital Splash Mountain photo, a digital Space Mountain photo, them taking your photo in front of the castle, them taking your
Yeah.
photo there, a Guardians of the Galaxy photo. It's all $15. And you get to
Yeah.
keep it digitally. And if you wanted to make a copy of it, you could. If you wanted to buy a copy of it, they let you do that.
But why would you buy a copy of a photo?
Yeah.
Buying a photo?
Yeah.
So,
You're not. This drawer back here, let's see if I can figure this out, actually I have in here just some ancient Disney stuff. So
Uh,
like this is like you can't like if you found the video feed from this, congratulations. But like yeah, ancient Space Mountain photo from 2001. So like yeah, I have yes
we JJ
Old Splash Mountain, old Jurassic Park the ride ones. So
before, and now it's Jurassic World.
now it's Jurassic World almost.
Uh, so JJ,
Yeah.
we also have some other unfinished business to cover in this episode.
Okay, but first I'm just gonna finish the train of thought for season two.
I know. I'm just like
I'm moving
I'm
along.
kind of I'm dreading it a little bit.
Yeah, but so season two will basically the end result is that we're going to focus on the time frame, and each week will be a different part of the park. So like episode, season two, episode one will be 1955 to 1959 or 1958 because 59 is like considered the second grand opening when they opened up Matterhorn and monorail and submarines and stuff.
So
So it'd be like Main Street, Frontierland, Adventureland. Each week will be land themed, like the old Disneyland TV series. Is my
that's kind of cool.
So that was
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So because the old Disneyland TV series used to do that. So it's like welcome to Adventureland, and then it would go into Davy Crockett or whatever. Tomorrowland would show you, Werner von Braun talking about rockets. So
We like, hey, here's Toontown.
yeah. Yeah. That's the fun. That's the weird thing because I was like, it's gonna be weird because like I'm going to get to Toontown, and like grand opening is a big deal, and then every year after that is nothing because they add and change nothing to that park. All they do is take away.
It is. It is horribly underwhelming.
Thank Lord they are actually doing something with that land now. They're putting a new ride there.
Oh, good.
They're putting the Disney World's getting the Mickey Mouse Runaway Railroad, and they're putting that in Tomorrowland or Toontown at Disneyland.
Because it was influenced by Roger Rabbit, right?
Yeah, the whole thing was influenced by Roger Rabbit.
With
there's a backstory as to the canonical story as to what Toontown is in Disneyland.
Because the cabs there, yeah. So
there's a story as to how it's been there the whole time, and they were just opening it in the 90s to the general public. And you'll hear that story next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
If you break it down, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is in the same universe as Roger Rabbit.
Anyways, Nick, what were you were unfinished business?
Okay, so JJ, our unfinished business. I think we batted this around, but I think we should take a look at our lists.
I agree 100%. We've been thinking about it for a while and realized that maybe the lists aren't as complete as they should be.
Or maybe things...
Or when I say complete, I mean like maybe some things are misplaced. Maybe with time behind you, you can... And you know what? I'm going to... Tell me if you can see this okay.
Yes, I can.
So you can see your list perfectly fine, right?
I can see my list fine.
Okay, this is your list. It's confusing to me because I see your list about 5 times because it just keeps cascading. It's here.
Well, the important thing is I can see it.
Yeah. So I could just share this by itself with you, but then I can't see you. But to be fair, all I can see is the top of your head right now anyways. But,
hi. Yeah. There's my head.
So let's just go through your list. You'll also notice the very bottom of this is a single movie that is all by itself because we forgot
to rank
it. I went back and listened to the episode, and I can't figure out what my thought process was into not ranking it. It sounds like I had a thought process, but I have no idea what that thought process was. So it's time to
wrap. You made it handy. You even put what order it was in, like when it canonically
when it came out, when it canonically came out. So this is Make Mine Music is the one we're talking about, and it was the
Yeah.
8th Disney release. So, Nick, do you see
All right.
anything out the gate? That
Yeah.
okay.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and
It's good radio. you used to
all
you
right.
used to be
Let's just start with what I was dreading.
okay.
Robin Hood's not better than Lion King.
Oh boy,
So
that only lasted a week.
yeah, I've put some thought into it.
Okay,
It doesn't feel right.
so there you go. A new number
Um,
one on Nick's list, The Lion King.
um,
That episode of
Dumbo is too
Dumbo.
high.
Dumbo.
Dumbo's too high.
Dumbo's too high, but
Dumbo's too high.
how high?
Um, Dumbo should be uh Dumbo should be below Cinderella.
Below Cinderella. You have to find
Yeah,
Cinderella here. Wait. No, there it is.
yeah,
Below Cinderella. Cinderella.
yep,
Night and day, Cinderella.
yep. Um, and
I do like that the Rescuers and Rescuers Down Under are side by side on your list.
yeah, well, okay. That is not by design, but it's fine. Uh, and I think I'm going to go ahead. This will be my last change, by the way.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and bump Sleeping Beauty above Aristocats.
Sleeping Beauty is down here.
Yep. And it's going to move up
Above,
1, 2, 3 spots.
above Aristocats.
Yeah.
Completely different movie that is not.
Completely different movie. And that looks pretty close to,
Okay. Where do you think you're going to put Make My Music?
you know what? The problem is I don't remember that much about it.
Well,
Okay,
here.
so let's do this.
I'm going to Google Make My Music, and I will tell you. I'll just rattle off what the shorts on it were,
Okay.
because it will jog your memory when you
All
remember
right.
what the segments were.
Okay.
It was the one that had the Martins and the McCoys that you didn't see. It was
Yep.
the Hillbilly one. Blue
Yeah.
Bayou, all the cats join in. Casey at the bat, Peter and the Wolf. A whale who
Oh.
wanted to sing at the Met was the finale of that one.
I
Johnny
think it.
Nora and Alice Bluebonnet
Okay.
singing
I
hat.
I think I liked it. Okay, now I'm remembering it. I think I liked it a little bit better than Melody Time. So let's go ahead and slide it right above that,
Right above that, but below Bambi.
below Bambi. I
Okay.
feel like I have Snow White so super low on this list. That's not going to change.
It's heartbreaking.
That's just not going to change.
So-
But at least I admitted that Lion King is the superior
You're
film.
able to admit to yourself.
Yeah.
So let's just see. We'll just run down your list in its entirety.
Okay,
In-
sure.
In order. So
Mhm.
those of you listening will hear it too. Number 1, The Lion King, Robin Hood, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Jungle Book, Sword in the Stone, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The Little Mermaid, Fantasia, The Great Mouse Detective, Black Cauldron, Cinderella, Dumbo, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, The Rescuers Down Under, The Aristocats, Sleeping Beauty,
Mhm.
The Aristocats, 101 Dalmatians,
Yep.
Lady and the Tramp, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Fun and Fancy Free, Pinocchio, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Bambi, Make My Music, Melody Time, Oliver and Company, Three Caballeros, Fox and the Hound, Saludos Amigos at the very bottom of the list.
I can live with that.
You're comfortable with your
I'm
list.
comfortable with that list. the big piece of business I had to take care of was the number one spot.
in the one spot.
Yeah.
So we'll just bring up my list now.
Oh boy, I'm looking forward to this. I am looking forward to
You're
this.
looking forward to my list, huh?
I am, because I think you've done some soul searching yourself.
I've done a little bit of soul searching. I could tell you right now that I am putting Cinderella on my list below Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Okay.
I love Cinderella, but then at the same time, I just love Snow White much more. I but so um, there was another one that was Peter Pan. I am changing.
Okay.
Put below. It's dropping a few. I'm putting it below the Black Cauldron.
Okay. Is it just because that was hard to record that podcast?
It was, and I think about Peter Pan, and I was really thinking, like, do I like 101 Dalmatians more than Peter Pan? Was actually the trickier one for me.
Right.
But I do think I
And
like Peter Pan more than. And
yeah.
as time went on, and I think about them more and more, Robin Hood in particular, like, deserved to climb up my list because since watching it, it has stuck with me in my mind more than I expected it to.
Thanks, Louis Perma.
Yeah, I think about that movie a lot. And like, yeah, it's better than I ever used to give it credit for. Like watching it for this and your enthusiasm for it in particular also helps. But it really makes me realize just how fun of a cartoon that one really is. And also, I absolutely was amazed by how well the Black Cauldron held up.
That's the thing I was going to point out. Like, we still have Black Cauldron surprisingly high on our lists.
Yeah, it's despite everything that's with that movie and everything that's wrong with that movie, it's still just this. It sticks with you when you see it. Like it's
just so much could have gone right. There's so much that could have gone right with that movie.
Yeah, I don't know how I've shorthanded Sleeping Beauty to Sleeping Beat, but that sounds like some sort of weird, like, Japanese arcade rhythm game.
Sleeping Beat. That's like that's on my retro wave playlist on Spotify. Sleeping Beat.
Sleeping Beats to study to.
Yeah. So, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
The bottom of your list.
Bottom of my list.
You still feel the same.
I still feel. Do I still feel the same? Yes, I still absolutely hate the box.
Now, where are you going to put Make My Music?
Now, part of me thinks that Oliver and Company should go lower. But like at best, I could only put it one lower because Bambi is a. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to.
I'm going to say, like, you're going to you're going to do some reordering.
I'm putting Bambi above Oliver and Company
just out of principle.
It is a better movie than Oliver and Company. So everything else I'm perfectly fine with. So where does Make My Music go onto my list? It goes right here.
So there's a pattern there.
Yeah, Fun and Fancy Free. All three of these are the same movie. Fun and Fancy Free is better than Make My Music, and Make My Music is better than Melody Time. Melody Time is the most empty calories of the three of them, and I will hold a grudge against Fox and the Hound. I out of principle at this point, I'm not raising it an inch. I almost got into an argument at work about how bad Fox and the Hound is because they loved the movie so much. Because my biggest complaint was it's about race relations and stuff, and I'm like, then commit to that.
Yeah.
But they don't, because at the end of the day, the farmer was right that he
Hmm.
has every right in the world to not want a fox on his property. Like, and like
Just
they don't commit to the race part of it. If that's what you were going for, commit to it, but they
yeah.
do not. so,
Oh,
so
so you feel good.
I feel good.
Okay.
The one that the one that bothered me the most on my list was the Peter Pan one. Like I
Okay.
really do need to drop Peter Pan. Um, but
So what's funny is I dropped Robin Hood and you raised it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who would have thunk?
So also, uh, let's just put our lists side by side for a second.
Hmm.
I can't see you anymore, but you can see the lists,
Yeah, I can see
right?
the list. Yeah.
Okay, so the JJ list updated and modernized. We have starting with number one, The Lion King.
Hmm.
Number two, Aladdin. Number three, The Jungle Book. Four, Beauty and the Beast. Fantasia. Winnie the Pooh. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Cinderella. The Little Mermaid. The Sword in the Stone. Robin Hood. The Great Mouse Detective. The
Hmm.
Black Cauldron. Peter Pan. 101 Dalmatians. The Rescuers. The Aristocats. Lady and the Tramp. Sleeping Beauty. Pinocchio. Alice in Wonderland. Dumbo. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, The Rescuers Down Under, Bambi, Oliver and Company, Fun and Fancy Free, Make Mine Music, Melody Time, Three Caballeros, Saludos Amigos, and the worst Disney movie of all time, Fox and the Hound.
my
And
big my big takeaway from this, just
yeah,
looking at these two lists side by side, is coming into the show, when we first were, you were spitballing this idea.
yeah,
I thought we would differ a lot on this, and we do differ here,
we do
but
differ,
not
but
as much as you would think.
yeah, there's a couple of more obvious ones, uh, in some instances, but yeah, Snow
But
White and the Seven Dwarfs obviously being the
yeah,
biggest one.
you hold the classic Disney films in a higher regard than I do,
Yeah, I
and
think the
that's
thing
fine.
I think the
Yeah.
thing that surprised me most of all was how hard I let Fantasia drop.
I thought that thing was locked in from
Yeah,
the jump.
because I tell everyone that Fantasia is my favorite, and it's not too far from the truth. I mean, it is top five,
Yeah,
um, and I am. I think the thing that I like about Fantasia is that I can just watch a part of Fantasia
yeah.
and be satisfied. Um, it's harder to just watch a segment of The Lion King and be like, oh, that's it. That's all I needed.
He's like, no, I need all the movie.
Yeah. Um, which is also a detriment to Fantasia. Like, it's a hard watch to start and watch from beginning to end sometimes because it's very long and it's only like, music videos. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So on that note, I do want to thank you thus far. You've kind of opened me up to some stuff that I probably wouldn't have watched before. So
yeah.
been a fun
Oh,
ride so far, man.
see my desktop for a couple of seconds. If I could just
Oh
really
my
just
God. So I had,
so much porn. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's all right.
Now we get this cascading thing.
Ah!
There we go. Back to normal.
Yeah, it's been fun. Like
Yeah,
we've had
and it's
we're
only
not
gonna
we're not
we're nowhere near
we're
done.
not near done yet.
Yeah, and it's only gonna get crazier and more interesting as time goes by. So
We have some more we have some more ups and downs.
more just in this alone, we have plenty of ups and downs, films
Yeah.
wise. Case in point, join us next week for Pocahontas.
Mm.
Uh,
I wasn't gonna. I was just gonna let you throw to that one. I wasn't gonna.
but yeah, I mean, listen, look, cartoons aren't going to last us forever, and
No.
they shouldn't. Um, and these annex episodes let us sort of do whatever we want whenever we want. If
Right.
there's a movie in particular we want to talk about, like I said, we're going to do a Tron episode at some point. I can't really think of like there's certain things like where do you go after the theme parks, and I have ideas that I haven't even shared with Nick yet, but um, there's stuff. There's stuff
Hmm.
to do. And you never know how long these things go on for. But I know I have season 2 set in stone. Season 2 is probably gonna be a longer series than this one.
It would just have to be by
Yeah,
necessity. Yeah.
yeah. But the episodes will probably be shorter
Hmm.
in
They
some way.
can't be any longer.
Yeah, they just keep getting longer and longer. This is going to be a short episode, and it's 9 o'clock. Uh,
JD's got to go see Peter Weller.
yeah, yes. Speaking of movies, speaking of Disney movies, I'm gonna go see the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across
There you go.
the Fox movie, which is now Disney.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Again, like this is JD's baby. It's kind of fun for me just to kind of come along for the ride and
Yeah,
learn stuff. Like I'm learning stuff every episode, so that's
yeah.
great.
That's the that was the point. That was the heart of it for the beginning. Um, I knew that of all of my friends that you would be the most sort of open to taking this ride.
Yeah,
I know that plenty of Disney movies you've watched and seen and enjoy, and and I know that there are certain we share very similar opinions on things, and
yeah.
with certain things like we always joke about like we were gonna joke about like Mickey Mouse popsicles and stuff in this, like
Yeah,
like we share a similar sense of humor as well,
yeah,
and it's been relatively easy to keep it clean too. So
yeah. Well, except for early episode, but
for
it helps that JJ and I have known each other for what 10 years now.
probably more than that by this point.
Yeah, over 10 years now. So we have a pretty good gauge for each other's
Yeah,
taste. Like
yeah,
for instance, we gotta do that 20,000 Leagues episode, man.
yeah. No, and that's it. Like like I said, we're gonna do a Tron episode because like I was like, do I go and do a live action? Like season 3 is like the live action stuff, and you're just like it's too much, and you can't really be
Yeah.
as thematic as I want to be. Like
Right.
I call this the compendium, and I do all these things in volumes and stuff. I do that because I want it sort of vaguely presented as like a book, as if
Mm-hmm.
you as if you could take the audio from this, put it on a CD, and have them, partnered up with the DVD counterpart and everything, like as a compendium to the movie. And like so you can't do that if you're just going like live action movies because it'll go on forever, and like what constitutes what studio is what does like
Yeah.
this is easy because this is a Disney studio.
Did you get
Like
into Hollywood Pictures or
yeah,
Touchstone? And that's
Touchstone,
it, the whole thing. Yeah.
yeah, and like the studios that made you know Treasure Island isn't necessarily the same studios that did some of the later Disney stuff. So it gets a little trickier. So like there's probably so that's why the Annex ones exist, because we can just pick and choose what we want to talk about. And that's how it's going to be. If we ever feel like we're going to do a Tron episode, we're going to do, bed knobs and broomsticks, or
That sounds great. Yeah.
yeah, just 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I want to do an episode about the black hole.
Yeah.
I have some ideas of things that will be like sort of like the Tron one that I always thought would be like, the Tron legacy, like the movies, the games, the video games. I mean, like the cartoon and everything, just sort of cover because there's not much Tron, but there's enough to where you could just sort of fill an episode. Or like one of the concept ideas that I had was like the rise and fall of like the Disney Toon Studios, which is the studios that went on to do all of those sequels and
Mm-hmm.
everything. There was a time where they peak, they come out of the gate with like the DuckTales movie and stuff. The next thing you know, they're doing like Pocahontas 3 or whatever.
Boy, that's a dip.
Yeah, so it's like nobody like they had some great stuff out the gate, and then it's like nobody asked or wanted or needed Cinderella 3, but they are the ones that brought it out. That studio brought it out. I feel like there's like and their downfall was the fallout with Pixar, and they were going to be the 3D studio, and then they got Pixar back, and so where does that leave them?
Yeah.
They were going to make Toy Story 3. and but then Pixar comes back, and then they get Toy Story 3. So you know,
there's a lot to cover.
a lot to cover. So
D- Disney's adding
yeah,
adding stuff.
yeah, and yeah, it's an
So
ever living, breathing company that's going to keep adding stuff. And in a in a world where it's easy to sort of get caught up in the sort of negative aspect of a company controlling as much as they do. And I'll never say that it's a good thing that Disney is as big as it is.
own
Uh,
so much.
yeah, owns
But
so much. It is what it is, and you can't deny its mass market appeal, and you can't deny how happy it makes people and how sort of
yeah,
safe it is for some people, because it is. And
it,
but at the same time, I'm able to separate the sort of magic and the reality of everything.
right.
And
It just happens they own so many things that we love.
yeah,
Yeah, so
and it just keeps, and they just keep doubling down. Like it was one thing when it was just like, oh, they have these theme parks that I love to go to, and they made all these cartoons that I love, and it's like, oh, well, now they own the comic books that I grew up reading,
do you
and
remember the day they bought Marvel? Like
yeah,
that was such a big deal. Like what?
it's like, how, well, and it happens, and you're like, why?
Yeah,
Like it made no sense, especially because we knew at the time what Marvel was.
yeah. Like
Like,
I think Iron Man and Hulk had just come out.
yeah, and like
Was that year?
it was, yeah, it was, yeah,
Was that
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, around then. I can't remember the exact dates, but like, and we know what Marvel was comic book wise at the time. Like, is it
Struggling.
is it something worth? Like, I guess it makes sense to own legacy content. Like Vince McMahon. Like, we talk about wrestling all the time because that's common current interest. But it makes sense to spend that money if you just want the library. If you just like, we own Captain America. Like that's we own, like like they own Spider-Man. They may not own the Spider-Man movies, but they own Spider-Man. That goes a long way of something that you can exploit in the future. I use exploit both as a positive and a negative. It's
Hmm.
like I think about nowadays of us, how we're able to, look, consumerism is a problem.
Uh-huh.
However, we like buying stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have certain things about the things that you love. And there was never a point growing up that I ever thought that I would be able to own an Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
But now I own two, and all in the last, couple of years. And that's crazy to me.
It is like
Like, because growing up, even having toys as a kid, none of it was that kind of stuff. It was never
no.
this deep, like, even like, at their peak, like the Infinity Gauntlet, that storyline was really just sort of a deep cut, for the lack of a better term, for comic fans.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pop culture anything. So there was never going to be a Toy Biz wearable Infinity Gauntlet in the
No.
early 90s. It was never in the books.
They actually never made a Infinity Gauntlet Thanos.
Yeah,
Toy Biz. It was
yeah.
Diamond
So
Select. So
yeah. So but now I have a full size replica of the movie one, and a foam replica of the comic book one, and I have Mjolnir, and I have Infinity Stones, and things. And so, like, yeah, they're exploiting it and making money hand over fist, but who who, who am I to complain about that?
yeah.
Because it gives me something that
It makes you happy.
it makes you make it, like, yeah, yeah. I don't think I'm just blindly doing this. Like, yeah, I know, I understand.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
problems. There's problems with that sort of system, or or even so much as a 35-year-old man wanting to own two Infinity Gauntlets. But I do, and I want to, and I've given
Yeah.
the opportunity now, and
And,
I'm fine with that. Like, yeah,
and,
but I'm also not ignorant to
no, but
business side of everything.
and
So
you voiced that
yeah,
not on this show, but like you voiced it,
yeah,
because you try to keep this pretty positive, and
Yeah,
and that's what the show's about. But
so
and again, at the
yeah,
same time, it's like,
like I like just like how I've touched upon multiple times about you know Walt in particular and
yeah,
the problems that come with him. Like he is nowhere near the he was nowhere near the evil man that sort of permeated after his death. With the anti-Semitic stuff that's as we covered in previous episodes, like is far from reality. Um, just some bad decisions and being aggressively anti-communist and anti-union, which is the biggest problem I had with Walt. Period. Uh, his stance on the unions and when the animators decided to unionize, how aggressive he was about that is the one of the biggest complaints I have about his legacy, and how poorly he handled that whole situation. Um,
if anything, you kind of like talking to you about Walt is I kind of give him like a I feel like in the past I've been more harsh on like how I view him,
yeah,
but like thinking about like you look at his upbringing and it wasn't great.
no,
And so you can kind of see he's just like, I gotta get it, I gotta get this,
yeah,
done. That
yeah,
you're taking money from me.
yeah, oh yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Especially as a businessman, that grew up completely and 100% poor, and he was never like you know money was important to him, but only in the aspect of being able to do the next thing that he wanted to do.
yeah,
It's not like the money was important to him because he wanted to go out and buy Congress or uh, own a third Bentley or something,
he
or
wanted to
just
build a train in his backyard though.
yeah, he wanted to build. Yeah, I would much rather prefer if that's how billionaires were today.
That's
Of like,
remarkably wholesome
yeah,
considering.
like I want to build a train in my backyard. My wife won't let me build it over her
Yeah,
garden, so I have to build a tunnel under her garden for my train. Like,
yeah.
and I'm
I mean,
going to spend a ton of money on this in 1953. You know,
yeah, I mean, when you compare his legacy to like guys of today, like Bezos and
yeah,
it's kind of like or Elon Musk, you're like the
he
ego
wasn't.
stuff wasn't as you know,
Yeah, it was never really in play. Like
no,
the ego stuff mostly existed because he was Walt Disney and it needed to be the best cartoon on the market for the longest time, or then it
yeah,
needed to be the best theme park in the market or whatever. Like you know, he never intentionally tried to create sweatshop conditions or anything.
no.
Like
Eh,
he made some bad choices, especially with reimbursement and hirings for the animators and stuff. And early Disneyland stuff was questionable
but
choices that he made, but it was never malicious, and I think that's the sort of key to it. Like
yeah,
when you see something like Amazon, where it's like, well, they work 16 hours a day and they get penalized if they take too many bathroom breaks.
yeah,
It's like that's malicious.
that is malicious.
That's malicious. Like with Walt, it's like, well, you just work your way up the pecking order, and you can make just as much money as Herb here if you just that's not malicious. It's just kind of he's a country boy that was poor that got the money and he's just kind of ignorant of that. That's why Roy was the money guy. It was
Yeah,
never malicious. It was just dumb.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, it was just
Yeah,
dumb.
yeah.
Yeah,
But he was still like, he just because he had money and like
yeah,
put his name on the studio doesn't mean he was at heart still like this like kid from like the sticks.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but kind of going back to you were talking about the monopoly thing,
yeah,
and yeah, it's bad in some ways, but listen, the fact that I can in one afternoon get my picture taken with Donald Duck, a stormtrooper, and Captain America. If you had told me that, if you told my 8-year-old self that, I'd be like, what?
yeah,
that's kind of rad.
yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about Disney in general, and I figured it was still get a little more candid on this one. I felt like
Yeah, why not?
sense because the point of this whole thing is to be both educational and upbeat. Try even when we're talking about a movie that we absolutely hated and we're making fun of, we're being jokey and upbeat about it. It's we're taking the Mystery Science Theater 3000 approach to sort of
Right.
teasing this movie, like
Yeah, because
yes, I hate The Fox and the Hound. However, it's far from the worst movie I've ever seen. And
absolutely not. No, like even Saludos and no, it's
yeah, it's like there's still some enjoyment to get out of them. And you know, and we're talking trash about these movies, but we're being fun with it. We're not just. It's not like that. You know, blind internet rage where I'm going to yell about the choices they made about Final Fantasy VII remake. It's
uh, there's no
it's
sports bras, man.
it's. I mean, like I try. I try to. I want to talk about. I want to try to talk about like what my problems with it, what could fix it. Like we always talk about what could probably fix these movies if they tried
Mhm.
something differently, which
Like
I think is an important thing to sort of discuss. Like also we're not animators or creators in that sense in any way, shape, or form. But these are just things that emotionally this would have attached us a little more to this film. And,
we're fans.
yeah,
That's what we are. We're two dorky guys in their 30s
yeah, chit
geeking
chat.
out about Disney stuff.
Yeah,
Guess so. It's that when you boil it down, that's what this show is.
yeah, and and I just want to and sometimes getting a little bit of background information on the worst of the worst is fun. Like if you just saw Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros without this episode, um, what would you think of those two movies?
I don't know
Like,
that I would think much of them.
yeah, like, but you know, maybe listen to this and Disney Plus launches and go and listen to those episodes and see
Yeah.
what the studios were at the time, giving context to those because Disney sure as heck isn't going to give you the context of those on
No.
that platform. And you're going to have to seek out context and trying to wrap that up in a an audio format, maybe a little easier to take in than reading a 18 paragraphs on Wikipedia or one of the countless books that I've read throughout history or whatever. But
I think I
that's
say, well, the countless books I've written. Like what?
yeah. I was gonna rattle off a Disney author's name, and I was like, that's an audience of one joke that I would make here. So there's no point in me saying like, no, my pen name is Jim Corcus. Like that doesn't mean anything except like one guy who knows who Jim Corcus is. Uh, but yeah, no, it's I like those movies in particular. I think like that what those two movies inspired me to do this because like those two movies and package features or were my inspirations for this whole series because there's no context to those anymore. They're these
Mhm.
weird little outliers in Disney history that as time passed by meant little to nothing. You put them in and you don't even realize that these fall under the same umbrella as Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. Like it's the same studio. It's the same people. Like the people that involved in this were the people that involved in, you know, Bambi or whatever. Like you know what I mean? Like you would have no idea that there's a reason these movies are what they are and they exist in the way that they exist. Um, and it's just something that's lost through time because it's not like they put them on platinum edition Blu-rays that have behind the scenes documentaries and stuff on them like the
No.
other movies do. Most every other one of these movies have a documentary in some way, shape, or form. They may not show the dark side of some of them, but there are documentaries covering all of these things, except for a handful of these movies. And that was the inspiration. And I'm glad I was able to get like those ones in particular what I wanted. to talk about when I was thinking about this. I was like, well, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, and so
Yeah.
yeah,
It,
it's that.
we've had fun.
Yeah,
We've got a long way to go.
yeah. Oh boy, do we. And
Yeah. Just around the
yeah, I was
river
gonna say
bend.
the end of this is not just around the river bend, uh, but next week is, and
Mm.
next week we will be talking about the ever controversial Disney film Pocahontas. Um, for
Disney's Avatar.
um, boy, is there. I don't even know what to say about Pocahontas. It or
Listen,
anything.
just think about Peter Weller.
Yeah,
You don't have you have a
it's Pocahontas. It's an incredibly problematic movie, um, and we will talk about it at length next
I
week.
can't wait.
Yeah. But until then, thank you all for joining us for this absolutely unfocused State of the Union address, so to speak.
State of the Union.
Thank you. Thank you for the 90s stinger for the podcast. I just need to isolate that audio and just reuse it later on. Uh, but until then, thank you all for joining us and have a magical day.